All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. Another exciting edition of Two Men in Black and White, an honest conversation. All right, I've been looking for this hat for about 3, 4 years now. Finally found it in a basket in my storage area. Who the hell put it in there? It's going to be hell to pay, I can tell you that. Speaking of hell to pay, measles cases just skyrocketing. More mass shootings, by the way, more the merrier. And a whole bunch of firings at the CDC, but now they want to rehire the same freaking people. Again, we've told you before, and we can't say it till we're blue in the face. Morons are governing America. That's what's happening right now. And if you don't think so, just listen to your president while he's over there in the middle of the East talking about who knows what to who knows who, meaning who knows why. Like, Brock Ganeles joins me now from the lovely confines of the Hudson River Valley that should be safe should we end up in another insurrection, or if we have a guy in a duck suit and a pickle costume get into an all-out cage match. Brock, you should be good. In the meantime, though, the president makes an absolute jackass of himself overseas again.
Yeah, I mean, he's trying to do his victory tour for those last 20 hostages getting released, which is fantastic. But he rambled and babbled for 45 minutes. He was full to the head of the UAE, made some crazy Rubio comments, said that only his opinion matters to all the other heads of state that were there. The classic American narcissism commentary. And it got me to thinking about what you had said a couple of days ago about feeling like his lunacy has reached such a clip that he's so chaotic that it's even starting to concern people on the MAGA side because they're not even sure what they're going to get from him when he starts rambling and
Day to
speaking.
day.
Yeah, and so many of his policies now have tipped over to impact MAGA, core MAGA, where, whether farmers getting bankrupt or whether it's all this ACA getting ripped away, meaning healthcare getting ripped away from red state citizens, they're just starting to hear more and more heat. And yeah, they don't know what Trump's going to say. We don't know what he's going to say. He doesn't know what he's going to say till whatever pops into that psychotic brain of his. So yeah, he's hurt, he's embarrassed on the international stage, but I always feel better when he's overseas because I feel like he's doing less damage to us when he's over there. He's just making a fool of himself in that region, but maybe there's less likely to be a decision made here that's going to set us back.
Yeah, and I wish we could see the cutaways of the crowd taking off their translation devices and just setting them down on the desk in front of them. I know nobody knows what the hell he's talking about. And after the first couple of enigmas and riddles and, crossword puzzles that he throws out at you, the word salad, the word vomit just kind of runs away from you. And you're like, okay, I need to shut my brain down because I'm getting dumber trying to figure out what this guy is saying. And the real travesty, Brock, is that this guy doesn't understand one iota about the Middle East peace process and what it is, how it got there, the history of it. Jared doesn't know it either. None of these fucking ghouls know it, right? What's their end goal, Brock? For Gaza, they don't seek a two-state solution.
Yeah.
You don't remember the commercials they were running about, Trump with the big beach muscles sitting in the lifeguard chair overlooking, the Trump resort right there on the beautiful beach of Gaza? That's all that guy's. Him and Jared are just thinking money. How much can we make?
We'll find out soon whether they were serious about the golf resort and all this and that. But a problem they have right now is that there's so many unexploded weaponry floating around Gaza that kids and people are tripping over it, and there's all kinds of explosions happening. There's no safe construction that's going to go on there for quite a while. So I don't think any of those golf course designers are going to be cruising around Gaza anytime soon because I don't think Jack Nicklaus is flying over there to design a course for them right now.
No.
When there's shell casings laying around, you don't know which ones are live.
What's Fuzzy doing? Fuzzy Zeller. Maybe we can get him over there, get some sketches. Let's see what you got, Fuzz.
So that's that's the issue overseas. And what you alluded on right at the top was then we had the measles outbreaks going on. I think it's South Carolina. They've sequestered like 1,200 kids because they're in an
Yeah,
unvaccinated
they're
area.
not vaccinated.
That's the latest iteration of that. But then it of course ties into the random and apparently unprepared mass firings at CDC, which to me seems like it's the second mass firing in 2 months, because
Right.
didn't this just happen? Like there was mass firing, then there was the guy who shot up the building with 1,000 bullets, and now we get another mass firing. So it's been quite the year for CDC. But how was it that no one knew who was on the list of who was getting fired, so that they immediately had to rescind? And or what do? You call someone up who just got fired and just say, hey, sorry about that letter. You can delete that email and know your severance check isn't coming, and throw out the COBRA information. You can cancel the meeting with HR because we need you back here on Tuesday, 8 o'clock, and we'll get you a new key card so you can get back in the building.
Yeah,
And when that happens, Mark, do you get to negotiate for a better contract when this happens? Like, is it a moment that you can pounce on and say, hey, if you want me back, you gotta spice this up a little bit for me? Or
Well, I don't think these ghouls work like that. I don't think they understand leverage and the power of expertise and the value of it. I think these morons would much rather see somebody shuffle off into the abyss rather than pay them what they're worth or appreciate exactly what they do. Remember, just what, a month ago at the CDC, we had a standoff, with the head of the organization versus the Trumpster. And the chump had no idea what was going on. We also had, charges filed against Letitia James, and nobody bothered to tell the AG. So, these people are just running around doing stuff willy-nilly. The president says, do it, do that. Or somebody else, Stephen Miller. I mean, they're just running off, cockeyed. They don't know what they're doing. They don't know what's going on.
yeah, Mark, I'm honest. To be honest, I'm curious who they even deem to be the essential scientists that they need to ask back, because it seemed to me like they had kind of fired everyone on the vaccine team. So there goes your COVID and your measles and your rubella and some other bubonic plague and some other shit that we haven't heard from, and
Childhood
polio.
cancer.
Right, yeah, all this stuff that we hadn't heard from. So I don't even know who they're deeming important that they felt the need to place phone calls to beg to come back to work.
Right.
But obviously, you're not going to get a highly motivated and inspired worker when you've just kind of punted them to the curb and now you're begging them back. Like, hard for them to think that they're working for a regime that's truly invested in their success.
Right. The regime has no scientific agenda, right? Their goal is not to make us healthier. I saw a funny freaking meme of RFK, looking crazy, on Capitol Hill. And the caption said, eating Cocoa Puffs turns you into a wigger. It's like, what? But it's something stupid this guy would say, something off the wall. And you're like, oh my God. Like, welcome to the sunken place.
Yeah,
right?
could have been. That could have been real. I mean, that could have been a real quote. I mean, who knows?
Right. And in the meantime, nobody's saying, hey, moms, dads, look, we know you may believe X, Y, and Z, but it really is in your child's best interest to inoculate them against these diseases that were eradicated back in the 70s, back in the late 60s. Does anybody know any 35-year-old polio survivors? I think not. I don't. And there's a reason why.
The only polio survivor I know is Mitch McConnell. He's the only human being I know that I've heard of that has had polio. And what's he, 80?
And he's 106.
We've lived our whole lives, never heard about fucking polio.
Right. And now, here we are with the measles. These children are suffering needlessly.
Yeah.
You're
It's
the
their
parent of
parents'
an
fault. It's
unvaccinated
their parents' fault.
Brock, the parents are probably vaccinated. They're not autistic.
Yeah, they're vaccinated because they got it like 40 years ago.
Right.
Yeah, the parents are vaccinated.
And they're not autistic. Isn't that strange? I thought the vaccines caused autism. So let me see. So you're telling me that you don't want the vaccine that you got given to your child because they're going to be autistic, but you're not autistic. Jesus, fix it. Make it make sense.
I mean, I don't. So once again, like, at what point does this penetrate the MAGA world enough to where it has them at least questioning what's coming their way? Like, to even just question it, to wonder, wait a second, does this make sense to me? Like, I'm on board with everything these guys do, but like this one, why do I want to put my kid at risk? Do I really believe this? I don't know. I mean, it seems like independent thought just doesn't exist
No, no, not within MAGA.
in the MAGA
Not
world. Yeah.
within MAGA. They are. Again, you think MAGA gives a shit about the Middle East peace process? You think they give a shit about Gaza? You think they got Gaza or anywhere in the Middle East on their bucket list? You think they're going to Dubai anytime soon for a family vacay? They're not going any fucking where. Matter of fact, when anyone in the regime starts talking about the Middle East, they tune right out because they don't know where the fuck it is. Most of them think it's, the Middle East must be in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean. Going east, middle of a big body of water.
But what they do know is negative, right? It's brown people, it's
Right.
Muslims,
Right.
it's 9/11, right? Which makes it all the more crazy that we have a Air Force base getting built in Idaho for the
Idaho.
Qataris, right? Like, so just that's another crazy Trump decision, right? That MAGA can't figure out.
Mm-hmm.
What's he doing? We know he's lining his own pockets, so we know it's a greed play, but to them, it doesn't resonate or doesn't make any sense. So I feel like MAGA world is, at least, I mean, they're hardcore. They love what ICE is doing, but there's a lot of decisions going on around them that they're swallowing.
Right.
And there's just a handful of them peeling off and starting to criticize and question. From MTG to Laurel Loomer to Massey with the Epstein files. There's just, to the governor of Oklahoma, who came out and said that National Guard troops from Texas should not be sent to Illinois, right? So a deep red state governor just saying, hey, we certainly wouldn't want Illinois National Guard troops being sent to Oklahoma, right? Just simple logic, right? And saying, hey, this doesn't feel right. States' rights. Yeah, right. States' rights. This doesn't feel like something that should be going on. That there's just little by little, a few more players on the MAGA side starting to peel away on different topics. So just a few cracks in the veneer. And I think part of it is because they see the slippage in Trump, that either A, they see MAGA getting confused, or B, they're already playing to a post-Trump world. And what's that going to look like? We know J.D. Vance, right? He's stretching out now. He's in the bullpen. He's throwing a few pitches, right? He's got the rosin bag. He can't wait for Trump to keel over, right? He is chomping at the bit.
Did you see him on Stephanopoulos on YouTube clips?
Yeah, they had to shut him down, and apparently they're going, he's lying his ass off. Just as Mike Johnson does every time he gets on screen.
Oh my God, the Schumer shutdown. I heard Mike Johnson say again, another punchable face. This guy, I might drive through Louisiana just to see if I can take a swing at this.
Schumer shutdown. They're trying to say that they have a health care plan, even though they want the ACA repealed, but like they have a lot of ideas, but like no plan behind it. And of course, they're all going to spend all week lying about the protests on Saturday because they're worried the protests are going to be huge. So they're already trying to position them as anti-American, pro-Hamas. Oh yeah, I'm going to be out there marching because I'm pro-Hamas. Go fuck yourselves.
Jewish kid.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that's why I'll be out there. Okay, right. They're trying to position them as pro-terrorism marches, right? They're pulling out all their jingoism that they can to try to paint, because they're really worried that the numbers might be overwhelming, and they're trying to get ahead of it and paint them as un-American, right? It's almost like they're being called un-American, so now trying to turn around and call the pending protests un-American.
Your boy Scott Bessent says no kings, no paychecks.
Yeah, what does that mean? What does that mean, no paychecks?
About?
For who? Federal workers? What was he tying it to?
Straight dictatorship.
Was he thinking that companies should be using the Palantir software to see who's out there and not pay people who are protesting? Oh, so we don't have a right to assembly anymore. So he's talking no Second Amendment? No First Amendment, no Second Amendment? Who the fuck is Scott Bessent, the head of Treasury?
Anyway.
Who gives a fuck what he's got to say?
Never heard of him before he got
about anything.
One of the ghouls.
Come on.
Good Lord.
Stay in his lane. He can stay in his lane and focus on the fact that the economy is fucking rolling over.
In the shitter. And, again, how'd these guys get so rich? And they're so damn stupid. They got no comment. They couldn't survive on the street for what, a week? I mean, good grief. They'd be robbed of everything. And I don't understand how they just lie so easily to the American people. They were even talking about the issues that rural hospitals are facing and trying to blame that on the Democrats. And it's just patently unfair to fuck the Democrats. Fuck the Republicans. It's patently unfair to people who live in those areas who are going to die trying to get to a hospital that's no longer located anywhere near them. May have to cross state lines.
I think the line gets easier the more you do it. So I think Trump is such a pathological liar and got away with so many blatant lies that they all just picked up on it. And they're just like, well, you know what? We don't have to tell truth. There's no penalty. We don't face any ramifications for these lies. So we're just going to position things in any way we want to position them to maintain or enhance our power. And that's how they go into every conversation, right? What's going to get us more power? They don't feel a responsibility to the American people. They're in the game for, what's going to give them, whether it's more wealth, more power, more control. So they're going to say anything to anybody. And maybe the mainstream media or any kind of media starts increasing the pushback, because maybe also the pushback gets easier the more people do it, right?
Right.
Because the lying's obviously gotten easier, and there's more government officials who just lie as like they breathe. So we're going to need more media that pushes back.
Brock, imagine if we had the courage of the good folks in Madagascar. Everybody thinks Madagascar is an imaginary place because of the cartoon. It's not. And there was a headline I caught, must have been late last night or earlier today, on a coup attempt to seize state media in Madagascar. The president has fled the country. He's out of there. And I'm thinking to myself, wow, wouldn't that be amazing if that happened here?
Who tried to seize the media?
The Madagascar army was threatening to seize state media. They've already run the president out of the country. And now they realize how important it is to win the messaging battle. Unlike the Democratic Party here, who just says, hey, why don't you get your news at MSNBC? That's safe. Or watch George Stephanopoulos every Sunday. These folks are actually standing up, doing something about, and trying to get to a place where they can have a better life, right? Not just enrich a rogue president, a corrupt president, who has commandeered the airwaves, right, to run his propaganda machine for him. And to basically, shoot down any opposition message, right?
Well,
hear nothing but good things about him.
I mean, John Oliver did a half hour last night about CBS and the new regime at CBS and rumors that they may be buying HBO, which would be his network. And what a joke it is that this Barry Weiss is running it, and how right wing they're going to move, and how they pretend like the slogan is all about the truth when really it's a propaganda effort. But that's another big media property now that's moved right. And it just goes to show that whole left-wing media is a farce. Like so many things that come from MAGA, like there's more mainstream media now that's controlled by the right than by the left. In fact, maybe MSNBC, like there's very little,
That's it.
left-leaning voices still
Yep.
on the airwaves.
Well, Brock, that's where the money is, right? Remember, their business model is based in hate, right? So you've got to program, right, to the
But hey,
viewers.
yeah, I guess that's what gets more eyeballs. Even if there's more people on the left,
Yep.
maybe more eyeballs on the right because the enragement draws them to it. Maybe that's the argument. But boy, it seems like it's going to get crowded over there with so many networks trying to get to that same viewer. That same like 71-year-old guy rubbing his belly in the reclining chair in Ames, Iowa. Like that's a lot of networks trying to get to that guy at 8 o'clock at night, right?
No doubt. No doubt. No. And just think about it though, Brock. We're turning some of these government officials into, network superstars. What are you gonna do with Jen Psaki? Hey Jen, I'm gonna need you to play to, the Bush angle. You know? I need you to be more pro Bush 44-ish. But take it over the edge and go MAGA with it. Jen Psaki's not gonna do that. Right? Jen Psaki served under President
Yeah,
Biden.
you would hope not. You would
Yeah,
certainly hope not.
yeah, during one of the most, contentious periods in government history, right? I mean, think about it. We've had no more contentious period history than wartime compared to what we're dealing with right now. It's only
But
been worse during wartime.
yeah, but then does someone like that lose their job because if the network wants to go in a certain direction, they're not going to let their on air. Right? You know media better than me, right? They're not going to let
Katie
their on
Fang's
air
still
people.
working.
Yeah,
Katie
but she
Fang,
went independent. But she left and went independent. So Joy Reid, yeah, you can go and get your own audience, and that's the direction I think a lot of, I mean,
hey,
left-leaning voices are going to go, and that's where I think
watch
the
Stephen
eyeballs are going.
Colbert. Stephen Colbert's going to do it when he's done. He's going to go get his own YouTube channel or whatever, and he's probably going to make more money
But
than
if
he
I'm
makes now.
any if I'm any indication, right, of whatever white guy, middle America white, whatever
Sure.
standard white guy, liberal white guy, I don't even watch any of the networks anymore. But I do watch Katie Fang. I do watch John Oliver, Jon Stewart. I'm getting Midas Touch, the iHip News. What's your name, Richardson, who I referenced before, right?
Heather Cox.
I'm not consuming less media. I'm just consuming it entirely differently.
Yep. Which we should be. Which we really should be, Brock, because the media has let us down.
Yeah, I couldn't watch those CNN shows with the even-handed, fucking Scott Jennings on there. I was like, I just, if that's a part of the programming, like, I'm gone.
Yeah. If Dean Withers is on, though, I'm sticking around for him to beat the shit out of Scott Jennings because Dean Withers is a bad mamma jam. I don't understand why young people are not watching, Adam Mockler, Dean Withers, these young influencers who are super duper smart. He's like a David Hogg, but he doesn't have the notoriety in terms of mainstream media. But I know young people know about him. They have to. And he handles the business for anyone coming at him with all that nonsense. He just takes calls. He doesn't care where you're calling. All he does is beat you up with facts. And that's what I love about that kid. So, again, we're not consuming less media. We're just consuming fact-based media.
Yeah, trying to find it. And it's out there.
Yeah, oh, plenty of
It's out there. But yeah, it's interesting what we said about Madagascar. It just shows, I mean, they're just learning from what they see in other countries, right? About, trying to control the messaging.
the
Yeah,
playbook.
it's the playbook.
Yep. So, as long as that playbook is still running around here rampant, it's up to us, right, on the 18th to send the message. Because that's the only way we can. Right? We can't send it through mainstream media, so we've got to send it through the visual medium. So we need JD to run into the Oval Office with his phone and say, holy shit, look what's going on in Chicago. There are a million people in the streets.
Yeah, I want like at least 1,000 of them to flood that fucking lobby of the Trump Hotel. Just go in there and sit
Oh, yeah.
down. Sit
Yeah.
there and just hang around the lobby.
Yeah.
You know,
You don't have
and
to go in there and defecate on the
yeah,
walls, and
just
take over people's offices. Just
but
go
like
in, order a
make
drink.
everyone there feel uncomfortable. Make being in a Trump property be uncomfortable for people, right? I mean, that's what I think the goal of the protests is right, is to make the status quo feel uncomfortable and untenable, and that it has to change, and it has to, you have to start challenging those that are supporting, this administration, and call them out on it. Why are you supporting it? Like, what are you getting from it?
Right.
And overwhelm them with numbers.
Yep. Yep. All right. Quick hit for me, baby. What do you got?
Two of them. Number one, Neil Young's pulled his music from Amazon and tells us all stop using Amazon. Bezos is supporting this government. Here's what I can do. So you stop buying from them, and I'm gonna take my music off of Amazon Music, and trying to encourage other artists to do that as well. Which leads me to my quick hit of the day, which is, what do Ariana Grande, Chapel Roan, and Tyler the Creator all have in common?
I know two out of the three. Chapel Roan, is that a musician? Wow. Hit me. Uplift me.
All three of them have come out with extremely strong anti-ICE statements in the last 48 hours. So I think
Nice.
Chapel Roan on Saturday night had a concert, stopped, and basically gave ICE the middle finger from the stage. She won Grammy Best New Artist.
Okay.
White woman from Tennessee, but I think she's moved to LA. She's really good. I'm kind of into her now.
Okay.
Reminds me of like a young Lady Gaga. Better
See,
voice.
I'm taking a
Better
look at some of her
better
pictures.
voice. And I'm a big Lady Gaga fan. Ariana Grande put out an open letter basically to MAGA saying, is your life really better now? Go read it. It's really kind of good and funny, but she is not
Okay.
pulling any punches. And Tyler and the Creator in Chicago, you familiar with Tyler the Creator?
Sure. Sure.
Okay. In Chicago, had a concert and basically had a big fuck ICE like mural on behind him on
Love it.
stage during
Gotta
the
love it.
entire thing. So all three of them came out ultra aggressive, particularly against ICE, but against the administration. And I love to see high profile voices that are willing to take a risk and piss off some of their audience potentially, and make a strong statement against what's going on in the country, against all of us. And that's what creative people have the
Yeah.
platform to do, and we're frustrated at the ones that refuse to do it. And I commend these three in particular because they all have big and very different audiences.
Yeah. Yeah. And again, flies in the face of, a young lady that we were singing her praises a month and a half ago. And now she's got her music featured in Target, and she's up in the box at a football game. Taylor Swift just going about her life, doing what she does, and, don't get involved. I guess life's
Um,
pretty good from up there.
it is very good for her right now. I'm totally down on the Target thing. I don't give her shit for going to her fiance's football game. Like, I feel
Right.
like that's
Right.
something that any fiance would do. But
Sure.
yeah, but if she thinks that she's going to go back to trying to roll along middle of the road, and yeah, we haven't heard a peep out of her in a while.
In a
In
while.
terms of, in a good long while, as to what's going on in America around her. And it's not business as usual, Taylor. Sorry, but it's not business as usual.
It's not going to play well at Thanksgiving with her new sister-in-law, because her new sister-in-law is going hard in the paint. Even though she's on Amazon with her podcast, she's going hard in the paint at this regime. So, Taylor, get your Swiftie together, and get out here and let's make a difference for people. There are people out here hurting, sister. Not everybody has the ability to give 100 people a $100,000 bonus, out of your own pocket. Not a corporate bonus. She wrote those checks out of her own pocket. for that tour that she, what, then a cool billion? Jeez, 1 year of work. She's $1 billion a year earner. There's what, 50 of those in America?
Yes, there's probably less than 50 earners. Most billionaires make their money on investments and interest, not on fucking actually doing shit.
Right. All right, buddy. That's it for us. Let's rack it up. I'll see you a little bit later on, and we'll go live once again. Talk a little bit about some reaction to some of our videos. Apparently, we stirred up a hornet's nest. You gotta love it. You gotta love our
Antifa struck a nerve. All right, Mark. Always a pleasure. Talk to you later.
See you in a bit. Peace.